All right, everybody. We just watched Ahsoka episode 3, and
they fly now.
They fly now. We're getting into our review right now. So, spoiler review, and the way that we do this, me and Nick don't agree on everything. You're not going to agree with us on everything, and that's how we roll. But we're going to be authentic, and we're going to start with the positives. Then we're going to go with the negatives, and then we're going to give our overall score and kind of try to justify why we gave it what we gave it. So, Nick, as always, if you don't mind, I will let you give us your first positive, and we'll go from there.
First positive is this episode being shorter than the 2 episodes last week. I thought the pacing was better than the first 2 episodes. In this one, there wasn't as much standing around, looking around.
Oh yeah.
But there was some, but not as much as the first 2 episodes. Granted, this episode was only, minus the credits and stuff, it was only like 29 minutes long or something like that.
Yeah.
So the training, they did the training at the beginning. Hu Yang had little training light things. I thought that was cool. Those are just my off the top, starting from the beginning, positives.
Sure.
Do you want me to go through the whole episode or just go?
Oh, no. We'll just kind of go. Well, me and you'll just bounce back and forth between each other. So
right.
I really liked this episode. In terms of positives, I felt like overall this episode really moved the story and established where we are. This episode established that this isn't necessarily Rebels. At this point, Hera is nowhere around. We have established that the story moving forward, Sabine and Ahsoka are on mission to go find out what's happening with Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn and all of that. They're not getting help from Hera or the New Republic. We've also established that we have to keep our eye on the New Republic because some of the people in the Senate seem to be on the wrong side of things, seem to be corrupt.
Yeah.
You have to wonder. So just from those 2 standpoints alone, I agree with what you said. It was a lot faster. There's a lot more happening in a very short episode. There was some good action. There was some good dialogue, and but the main thing is this episode for me moved the story forward, and I have a much better sense of where we are right now than I had in last week.
Yeah. Something else I liked in it, positive, is it showed Sabine, a female character, actually struggling with something, which we don't typically get in Disney entertainment, period. But she was struggling. She was failing.
Yes.
One time after another. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't, the bestest ever or anything like that. So
right.
That was a positive for me on this episode as well.
I am with you on that, and I'll just piggyback on that. Even though they showed her, they really reinforced her being weak in the Force. No doubt about it. And I appreciate that. Honestly, I kind of needed that. But at the same time, Sabine is already an established character. So at the same time that they're showing her weakness in the new, her being a Jedi or Padawan, she still has her strengths from the old. She's flying the ship extremely well. She's shooting the guns. She's doing the things that Sabine can do. And she's doing those well. So I thought that served the character well.
Yep. Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that. Another cool thing I liked, the positive, when they showed the A-Wings and showed the New Republic fleet that was very reminiscent of the Rebel fleet from Return of the Jedi. I liked that whole shot there. And then, of course, we get back into the little conference / meeting room on the Mon Calamari cruiser, just like we did in the last episode, and that was in Jedi. So that was a familiar set piece there, which I thought was cool. So that was another positive.
I liked the Jason Sindula cameo. We needed to see that. So that worked for me. Seeing the Purgle, even though like I'm not the biggest Rebels fan, I like the Clone Wars more than Rebels. But seeing the Purgle made me smile, man. Like I was like, that's awesome. They actually pulled it off. It looked good. It looked good. That entire scene I thought worked well. The dogfight inside and around the Purgles was really good, from the music, the cinematography, everything going on. But I also think, Nick, that this episode had several really good lines of dialogue, like when Ahsoka was training Hera with the lightsaber. Now I have some negatives there too that we'll get into. But when Ahsoka looked at Sabine after Sabine got mad and she was in the floor like out of breath because she had like gone off with the saber, and Ahsoka actually said, anger and frustration are quick to give power, but they unbalance you. And I was like, you go, Ahsoka. She not only is that great teaching with the Force, she knows that firsthand, being Anakin's Padawan.
Yep. I like the line.
I thought that was a good line, and I thought Hu Yang had several great one-liners throughout the episode as well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of his, but he's starting to grow on me a little bit. He really didn't do really much anything that really irritated me or kind of made me cringe or anything. I thought he was, for the most part, he was pretty good in this episode.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else in terms of dialogue. When Hera talked to the Senate, and the senator that she has beef with, that she was warned about, I can't remember his name, but everybody knows the one I'm talking about.
Asian guy.
She said, "Hey, Asian guy, did you fight in the war?"
Yeah,
and he said no. And she said, "Oh, so you just sat around to see who was going to be on top?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Man, Hera,
that was a nice burn."
Hera is straight savage, son. And I thought that was really good. That was a great way for her to exit the story for now. Her being straight savage mode on the Senate. The Senate doesn't like her, but Mon Mothma does.
Yeah. And a lot of people probably that are part of the New Republic are probably in that boat that she just accused him of being in.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw that in Mando. Was it Mando season 3 or what? Where they God, all the shows are running together for me. Okay. Yeah, it was Mando season 3 where they're showing the New Republic and then went to Coruscant and all that with the Doctor and all that. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely. We already know, it's already been established in Disney Star Wars canon with these shows that there are Imperial remnants that are within the New Republic. So it's not too far-fetched to believe that there's probably a lot of people in the government, such as senators, governors, whatever, that are also kind of secretly Imperial loyalists.
Sure. Yep. All right. Well, I'm ready to get to some negatives, and I'm going to be honest with you guys right offhand. I don't have very many today. We had way more negatives last week.
Yeah,
2 episodes. Now this episode was short.
Yeah, it was short.
But I will tell you, for me, right off the bat, I felt like the lightsaber training in the very beginning of the show, after Ahsoka gets involved, everything with Hu Yang I thought was pretty neat. But then as soon as Ahsoka got involved, it was a little weird for a little bit. And I don't know how, I can't really articulate it other than just watching Ahsoka and the way that she looked and what she was saying to Sabine and all that. And I actually got ready to cringe when she says, how could I see with the blast shield? And I was like, don't say it. Don't just don't say it.
Yeah.
And she didn't, your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. I was glad that she didn't say that. But at the end of that scene, I felt like it got better, especially when Ahsoka dropped the wisdom line of dialogue that she did. So it did get better for me. But honestly, for me, dude, that was really the biggest weird moment. And it was a little weird for me to watch Ahsoka put on the spacesuit and go outside.
That was a little. Yeah.
It was cool. I liked it, but man, she's even slower.
Yeah,
even slower.
She was slow last week, even slower this week.
And the only other thing I'll say negative wise is watching Ahsoka pilot her ship. She's the captain of the ship, but the whole time she was flying in the dogfights and everything, she's taking orders from Hu Yang, who's saying, "Get closer, get closer." Okay, all right, I am. And she's taking orders from Sabine, who's in the gunner seat. It's like she's not really the captain. She's just doing what everybody else tells her to do.
Yeah. Another positive I just thought of while you were sitting there talking about that is I actually felt some emotion and not a whole lot of just monotone acting from Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in this episode when they were getting chased and they were getting damaged and all that. Her voice and everything, she just wasn't like, "Oh, looks like we're hit. Let me go over here and do this." You could tell there was some urgency in her voice, and it just wasn't like monotone. And
I agree with you. There was
stiff.
some urgency. There was some urgency in her voice, and there was also some lighthearted moments, some funny moments. She was cool under pressure, but she was still serious. I thought it was good. I thought she did well.
Yeah.
And that's how she was trained to be. Back in the Clone Wars, she was trained to be cool under pressure. That's what Jedi teach. So we see that resonate with her character, and I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Let's see. The typical Disney diversity checkbox were definitely marked, checked off in
with
this
Senate
episode. Yeah. For I don't know what Disney has against white males, but we really didn't get any in this episode except for Ray Stevens' character at the very end for about 30 seconds. So let's see, another negative. I did not like the enemy fighter ship designs. They're very reminiscent of General Grievous's ship.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sort of. If you go back and look, like the sides anyways, the one that Kenobi ended up getting in and taking off in, they were a little bit similar to that, and I didn't like that ship design either. Another negative is, granted, there were some positives in this, but not a whole lot happened in this episode. Literally, the only thing that happened is the New Republic's not helping them, and they scanned the ship and saw some particles, and discovered what they had found. So, it slowly moved the story forward, but I guess it's fair to say that, this was a short episode, so there wasn't a whole lot that they could really do to advance the story. Maybe I just would prefer longer episodes like we got last week and kind of advance the story even more than we did in this. But I didn't think there was really a whole lot of important stuff that happened. I felt almost like the key points that needed to be, that they addressed and that they showed in this episode, literally probably could have been summed up and done in about 10 minutes. So I felt like it was dragged out a little bit as well, like the first two episodes were. So that's a little bit of negative, but it wasn't as bad as last week's episode.
I feel like if they don't pick up in the woods with Balin's bad guys looking for Ahsoka, if they don't pick up there, then that was a real missed opportunity, because I feel like this episode just should have continued right there in the search in the woods.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like if they would have gone to that and then got to the point to where, say one of them has got some binoculars or something and he's like, "I found them," and he's reporting back and he said, "Everybody go on this spot." And then there's that intense moment, "Hey, they're all coming now." and then that would leave you ending on a concern level to where it was a little bit higher, because the way it left off is, all right, they're going to go look for them. Okay, well, I guess we'll see if they find them next week. But if they found them and one of them reported back, hey, I found them, and then Ray Stevens' character was like, everybody head to that position right now, and he was calling in for extra support and all that, and we saw all them coming and surrounding them, and then the episode ended. Right. I thought that would be a lot cooler way to end this episode and kind of stretch it out just a little and give us a little bit more.
All right, so overall score
overall score,
I can go first if you want me to.
No, overall score, I'll give this a solid 7.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you gave last week's a 5 or a 6. You were like right in there. Yeah. So, and you're giving this one a 7. I agree with you. I think that this one was better. Knowing that, and I gave the first 2 episodes combined a 7, even with the multitude of issues that I had with those 2 episodes. There were far fewer problems in this show tonight for me. I'm going to bump it up half a point. I'm going to give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. But if you made me like stick to one score, I would say 7.75. I can't quite go 8, but it was better than last week. And it's like, for me, it's really close to an 8. And I know a lot of people like watch our videos and they're like, I don't understand how y'all rate things. 5 is average. No, we use it in grading scale. Like a 7 is a C,
5 is an
F. 8 is a B. A 5 is a high F.
Yeah.
A 3 is a low F. Okay. So for me, this is almost
above average.
You know what, dude? As I sit here and think about it, I'm okay going 8 and just making this a B. It's not an A.
Yeah, no.
But I'm okay with this one being a B. I really am. I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 7. I thought it was just an average episode. There wasn't anything too exciting.
Average is 5. That's what we're going to see. But again, C is average.
Yeah, C is average. So I'm basically I'm giving this a C. A 7 is a C, and I there wasn't a whole lot of negative. There wasn't a whole lot of positive. I just thought it was average. Just another quick negative, just for Disney Star Wars as a whole is, average is not good enough for Star Wars to me.
I agree.
I definitely wish that all these episodes were great. I've gotten, for the most part, great episodes in every episode and a lot of other TV shows out there. So, and Star Wars should be on that level. So a 7 is just average. That's not good for Star Wars. It should be better than that. But again, I didn't have a whole lot of negative for this episode in particular.
This was just a good, solid episode. Is what it was.
Yeah, it was a
solid episode. And you know what? For Star Wars right now, that's a win. The position that Star Wars is in, that Disney's put it in, a good, solid episode, minus woke, minus blaring issues. To me, that's a win right now. And let's keep making it better. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there was a little bit of, I thought there was a little bit of wokeness in it, but not a whole lot. Definitely from the diversity side of things. But it wasn't too bad. Or in your face. It was literally just like, like 1 or 2 scenes. So it wasn't overwhelming or anything like that, which is another reason why I gave it a 7, because it wasn't too bad on that front.
All right. Well, he gives it a 7. I give it an 8. Most importantly, what do you give it? Let us know in the comments and make sure you say why. We are Echo Base Network. See you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.